I probably shouldn't have let my boss come over in the first place, but I did. And now, it's a whole mess I can't even explain. My name is C, I'm 32 years old, and I live in Indiana with my husband Eric, who's 36. We've been married for 9 years and have 2 kids, Ethan, 8, and Mia, 5. On paper, everything sounds solid, but if I'm being honest, our marriage hasn't been great for a while. I mean, Eric's a decent guy, don't get me wrong. He works hard at his warehouse job and takes care of the kids when I need him to. But sometimes, it's like he's just there. No drive. No ambition. It's like I'm married to a roommate who folds laundry. I work at a small marketing firm as an assistant to my boss Nathan. He's 44, a sharp dresser, always the loudest guy in the room. People respect him, and yeah, I like being around people who get respect. Nathan's got this energy that makes you want to move faster, do better. I guess that's why I mentioned him to Eric more than I should have. I wasn't even trying to compare them at first, but it kind of just happened. A few Fridays ago, we had this work event, and Nathan says we should all get together afterward to relax for once. I told him I couldn't because I had to get home to Eric and the kids. But then Nathan says, "Why don't I just come with you? I'll bring a bottle." At first, I laughed it off, but he was serious. I don't know why I agreed. I told myself it was because I wanted to prove to him I had a stable home life. Dumb, I know. When we got home, Eric was in sweatpants and an old college t-shirt, sitting on the couch with a bowl of popcorn, watching some cop show. The kids were playing Roblox on the tablet. It wasn't exactly the put-together look I had in mind, but it is what it is. "Hey, babe," I said, walking in with Nathan behind me. "I told you my boss Nathan, right? He's stopping by for a bit." Eric glanced up, barely looking Nathan's way, and just said, "Oh, okay." Not "hey, nice to meet you," not welcomin', just "oh." I felt embarrassed before anything even happened. Nathan, of course, filled the room with his whole personality. Walked in like he owned the house, set the wine bottle on the counter and said, "Nice little setup you got here, man. Real cozy." Cozy was definitely shaded. But Eric didn't catch it. I went to grab some glasses and I hear Nathan say, "So what do you do, Eric?" "I'm at the shipping center over on Broad Street," Eric said, still half watching his show like this wasn't a big deal. "Shipping center, huh?" Nathan's voice went up like he was surprised. "Man, that sounds like tough work. Bet it's not easy on the back." "It's fine," Eric muttered, his eyes not leaving the TV. And that's when it started. Nathan chuckled to himself and said, "Well, I guess somebody's gotta move the boxes, right?" I heard it from the kitchen, and I froze for a second. I knew that laugh. It wasn't friendly. It was that "I'm better than you" kind of laugh. I peeked out from the kitchen, and I could see Eric's whole face change. His jaw tightened, and his eyes squinted. I knew he heard it too. But he didn't say anything. He just sat there. I didn't say anything either. I probably should have, but part of me thought if it bothers him that much, he'll say something himself. I mean, I'm not his mom. Why should I have to protect his feelings? Plus, it wasn't that deep. I figured he'd brush it off. We sat around the dining table for a bit, poured some wine, talked about work, life, whatever. Nathan was in his element, cracking jokes, throwing in stories about when he was in Italy and all that. Meanwhile, Eric just sat there, arms crossed, like a kid on punishment. I asked him twice if he was all right, and he just nodded like he was fine. But then Nathan hit him with another one. "Man, Kelly, ever think about what you'd do if you married a guy like me?" Nathan said, "Not saying you should, just saying life might look a little different, huh?" The laugh that came out of me was automatic. Like I didn't even think about it. It just happened. And the second it did, I regretted it. Not because of what Nathan said, but because Eric was staring dead at me. Eyes locked. "You think that's funny?" he asked. I stopped laughing quick. "Oh, come on, Eric. He's joking. Lighten up." "You're laughing a little too hard for it to be just a joke," Eric said, his tone sharp now. "Man comes in my house and starts clowning me, and you sit there grinning like it's a comedy show," Eric said, leaning forward with both hands on the table now. I rolled my eyes. "Don't be so sensitive. You know how Nathan is." He jokes with everybody. Eric leaned forward even more, his voice low and sharp. Yeah, but he ain't in everybody's house, see. He's in mine. It went quiet for a second. Even Nathan didn't have a comeback for that, but me, I couldn't let it sit. You're always like this, Eric. Always mad about something small. It's not that serious. I'm not about to babysit your feelings every time a man walks in the room. As soon as I said it, I knew I went too far, but I wasn't about to back down. I was already committed. Eric laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was that tight, bitter one you do when you're done talking. He stood up and shook his head. Yep, that's about right, see. Always everybody else's fault but yours. Enjoy your wine. He walked out the back door, and I heard it slam harder than it needed to. Nathan glanced at me, still sipping his glass, like he was watching a movie. Did I cross a line? He asked, all casual like it wasn't obvious. I shook my head. He's fine. He always gets like this when people challenge him. But he wasn't fine. I knew that. And for some reason, I felt like I'd won something. He wants to act like a victim? Fine. I'll be the bad guy. The next morning, Eric was gone before I woke up. No note, no text, nothing. Just gone. When I woke up, the bed was colder than usual. I reached over expecting to feel Eric, but all I felt was the flat, empty side of the mattress. He must have gone to work early, I thought, but something about it didn't sit right. Eric wasn't the type to leave without saying anything. He'd at least send a text, like, gone early, see you later, or something like that. I checked my phone, nothing. No missed calls, no texts. He's mad, I thought. He's being petty. I shrugged it off and went about my morning routine. The kids were up early for pancakes, so I got them fed and sat down at the table, scrolling through TikTok while they watched cartoons. Every now and then, I glanced at the back door, like he was just going to stroll and like nothing happened. But he didn't. By 11 a.m., I was starting to feel it. I texted him. Me, you good? No response. An hour later, I sent another one. Me? Seriously? You just going to ignore me now? Still nothing. I started getting annoyed. So now I'm the bad guy over a joke? I tossed my phone on the couch and crossed my arms like I was in my own silent protest. I didn't feel guilty, not really. He's acting like a child, I told myself. I'm not about to chase after him like one of these desperate wives on TV. But by 2 p.m. it was starting to bug me. He never stayed mad this long. Normally, he'd come home, sit on the couch, and act like nothing happened. But this time it felt different. I called him, straight to voicemail. Eric, you're being ridiculous, I said in my message, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. Don't start this whole silent treatment thing. We're too grown for that. I hung up and tossed the phone aside. I felt justified in the moment, but after a while, doubt started to creep in. I started replaying the night before. Nathan's little comments, the way I laughed, the look on Eric's face. Maybe I shouldn't have laughed that hard. But then I heard my mom's voice in my head. Don't apologize for something you didn't do wrong. And I wasn't about to start. It wasn't like I said the joke, Nathan did. I just laughed. That's not a crime. By 5 p.m., I was irritated for real. I called him again, straight to voicemail. Eric, I'm not playing this game with you, I said in the message, voice louder now because I knew he was probably listening. If you're trying to prove a point, you did it. I get it. You're mad. Congratulations. Now, come home. I was pacing the living room, my jaw tight. I felt that old, familiar feeling creeping in, the urge to call him again just to see if I could push a response out of him. But I stopped myself. I hated when people did that to me, so I wasn't going to do it to him. Instead, I called my sister Brielle. She's 29 but acts like she's my mom. I told her what happened, and she had the nerve to laugh. Girl, you know he's mad, she said, still giggling like it was cute. You know how men get when their pride's hurt. Ain't no telling where he is, but he'll be back once he cools off. Cool off from what? I snapped back. I didn't even do anything. Brielle sighed hard into the phone. You laughed at him in front of another man. And not just any man, your boss. That's basically putting a man's pride in a blender and hitting pulse. You know that. I didn't laugh at him. I laughed at a joke, Key. I said my name like I was a little kid. You know good, and well that man wasn't joking, Brielle replied. He was trying to son your husband in front of you, and you let him. That stuck with me more than I wanted it to, but I wasn't about to admit it out loud. Yeah, well, if Eric wasn't so insecure, he wouldn't care, I said, trying to push it off. Brielle didn't even argue. She just said, "Hey girl, let me know when he gets home." And then she hung up. By 9 p.m., I had officially moved from he's being petty to where the heck is he? I started checking traffic alerts, looking up accidents near his job. I even called his friend Daryl to see if Eric was with him. "Nah, I ain't seen him today," Daryl said, half asleep. "You want me to call him?" "No, I already did," I said quickly, trying to sound calm. "He's probably just blowing off steam." "Yeah, probably," Daryl mumbled, "but if he swings by, I'll tell him to check in." By 10 p.m., I was pacing for real. I texted again. "Me, Eric? It's getting late. I don't care if you're mad. Just let me know you're safe." Still nothing. See? This is why I don't feel bad about last night. I thought. If you're going to act like this every time you get your feelings hurt, I'm not walking on eggshells for you. I sat there, waiting for the little typing bubble to pop up, but nothing came. Fine, be like that. I threw my phone on the cushion next to me and folded my arms, watching TV like I was unbothered. But I was very much bothered. I kept glancing at the phone every few minutes. When I didn't see a message, I started thinking of where he could be. With Daryl? At his mom's house? At a bar? Then, for some reason, I thought of something I never let cross my mind. What if he's with another woman? I shook my head fast, like I was shaking that thought loose. Eric wouldn't do that. I know him too well. He's not that type of guy. But my brain didn't care. It kept playing little scenarios like a bad movie, him sitting in a car, talking to some girl who's nodding like she understands him in a way I don't. My jaw tightened again. If that's what he wants to do, then he can stay gone. I grabbed my phone, heart pounding, and texted one more time. "Me, don't bother coming back tonight. I'm locking the door." I didn't mean it, not really, but I knew it would hit him where it hurt. I wanted it to hurt this time. I watched the phone for 10 whole minutes, waiting for the typing bubble. Come on, say something. Say you're sorry. Say you're coming home. But it never came. By 1 a.m., I was pacing again. I checked the door. I didn't lock it, but I wanted to. I sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through Facebook, but my eyes kept drifting to the clock. At 1:23 a.m., I heard the car pull up. I shot up from my seat like I'd been waiting for this moment all night. I stood by the door, hands on my hips, ready to let him have it. I heard his keys in the lock, and when he opened the door, I expected him to look guilty. But he didn't. He looked calm. And that's what scared me. "You finally done pouting?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. He didn't answer right away. He set his keys down, took off his jacket, and looked at me like I was just somebody in his house. "I'm tired, see," he said quietly. I was ready to argue, but something in his tone stopped me cold. He didn't mean sleepy. He meant done. When he said, "I'm tired," it hit different. Not that I had a long day, kind of tired. It was something deeper, something I hadn't heard before. I stood there, arms crossed, trying to act unbothered. "Yeah, well, you're not the only one," I snapped back. "You think I'm over here living a dream life or something?" Eric didn't even flinch. Usually, he'd argue back, say something sarcastic. But this time he just stared. Stared at me for a second, like he was seeing me for the first time. Like he finally understood something I hadn't caught on to yet. "That's the thing, see," he said quietly, shaking his head. "I don't think you even know what you want. But I do now." My heart dropped. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked, squinting at him like I had him figured out. But I didn't. Not this time. He didn't answer right away. He just walked into the bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag from the top of the closet, and started packing. Packing? I stood there frozen, my mind racing. He's not really doing this. He's just mad. This is a show. But it wasn't. "Where you going, Eric?" I asked, my voice louder now. Where do you think you're going at 1 o'clock in the morning with a duffel bag, like you're in some action movie? I tried to laugh, but it didn't hit. He didn't look at me. He folded a pair of jeans and slid them into the bag, like it was just another Tuesday. Eric, I said, his name slower this time. Where do you think you're going? He finally looked up and I saw it. That look. It's the look a man gives when he's done talking. The one that comes right before everything changes. You told me not to come back, he said, zipping the bag up. So I'm not. My chest got tight. I felt my whole body tense up like I was bracing for a hit. Boy, stop playing, I said, stepping forward. I snatched at his bag, but he yanked it back before I could grab it. You're not going anywhere, I said, my voice shaking. He walked past me toward the front door, and my mind scrambled for something to say. Something that would stop him in his tracks. Say anything. So you're just gonna walk out on your family? I yelled, following behind him. You a whole grown man, but you can't handle an argument without packing a bag? Yeah, he said, glancing back at me. His eyes were calm, but sharp. I'm walking out on you. I'm not walking out on my kids. I blinked, stunned for a second. Oh, so now you're father of the year? I said, laughing bitterly. Since when? Since you stopped being a wife and started being my competition, he fired back. He opened the front door and stepped outside. That one hit me hard. Harder than anything he'd ever said. It stung in a way I wasn't ready for. You're just mad 'cause I don't bow down to you like I'm one of your little employees. I shot back, stepping halfway out the door. You want some submissive little housewife who bites her tongue all day. Go ahead, go find her. Eric turned around on the porch and looked me dead in my face. I don't want a submissive wife, see. I just want a peaceful one. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. He walked down the steps and kept going toward his car. I stood there, heart pounding, watching him unlock the door like it was in slow motion. I could have said something. I should have said something. But pride wouldn't let me. You'll be back, I said, arms folded. My voice wasn't as loud this time. I sounded like I was trying to convince myself. You'll be back. He didn't turn around. When I heard the engine start, my heart started racing faster. I felt a panic I hadn't felt before. This ain't like before. He's not coming back tonight. But still, I stood on that porch with my arms crossed, like I had it under control. He pulled out of the driveway without hesitation, no pause, no second glance. When the taillights disappeared down the street, it hit me all at once. He's really gone. I went back inside, slammed the door harder than I needed to, and leaned against it. My breath was coming fast, my heart thudding in my chest. I could feel tears building up behind my eyes, but I sucked them in. No, don't cry. You didn't do anything wrong. I sat down on the couch, phone in hand, waiting for him to text me like he always did. But no message came. I refreshed the screen every 5 minutes, staring at the time like I could will it to happen. 1:42 a.m., 2:45 a.m., nothing. The next few days were rough. He didn't come home, and I didn't reach out. I figured he was waiting for me to apologize like I always do, but this time I refused. I wasn't going to let him think he had all the power. By day 4, I finally texted him. Me, are you done with your little break? The kids are asking where you are. He didn't answer. That's when I started to get nervous. Not because I missed him, but because I realized something I'd never considered before. What if he's serious? I scrolled through his Facebook page, but he hadn't posted anything. No feeling blessed statuses, no cryptic new beginnings quotes, nothing. But I saw one thing I didn't like. He changed his profile picture. It wasn't him. It was just a picture of a plain black square. No caption. No explanation. What does that even mean? I thought, staring at the image. I clicked on his relationship status, out of curiosity. It still said married. I breathed a small sigh of relief, telling myself, see, he's just being dramatic. If he was serious, he'd change that first. That piece lasted about 2 hours. Then Emma came into the kitchen holding my phone. Mom, your phone is ringing, she said, handing it to me. It was an unknown number. Hello. I answered, distracted as I folded laundry. Hi, is this C. Thomas? Said a woman's voice, firm but smooth.
Yeah.
Who's this? I asked. This is Angela from Bailey and Mears law firm, she said, her tone as smooth as glass. I'm calling on behalf of Eric Thomas regarding a pending legal matter. I stopped folding. My heart stopped too. Wait, I stammered, gripping the phone tighter. What legal matter? I'm reaching out to confirm your mailing address, she said, not missing a beat. We'll be sending over paperwork regarding the filing of a legal separation. Legal separation? Do you still reside at this address? She asked. I swear I didn't breathe for 10 seconds. Yeah, I stammered, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. All right, she said. You should be receiving that within 2 to 3 business days. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our office directly. She hung up. I just stood there, phone in hand, eyes wide like I'd seen a ghost. Legal separation. He didn't even tell me. He just did it. I dropped the phone on the counter and sat down slowly, my legs feeling weak. My kids were laughing in the living room, oblivious. I wanted to tell them to quiet down, but I couldn't even get the words out. For the first time in a long time, I realized I didn't have control. I sat there, staring at nothing, waiting for my phone to buzz with a message from Eric. It never did. The days after that call passed in a blur. I kept staring at my phone, hoping for something from Eric, but there was nothing. No message. No call. Just silence. I couldn't wrap my head around it. How did things go from bad to this? A legal separation? Out of nowhere? I kept running the conversation in my mind. Angela from the law firm, her calm voice telling me that the papers would be coming soon. That this was real. This wasn't a joke. He was serious. The worst part was the children. They were so clueless, so innocent, and I couldn't bring myself to tell them what was happening. How could I explain something this painful to 2 kids who just wanted their parents together? I couldn't. I thought about all the little moments. The ones where I let things slide. The jokes at dinner, the comments he made, the way I laughed at Nathan's remarks. I didn't see it back then, but now I did. It wasn't about the jokes or the laughter. It was about everything I neglected. It was about the years I spent thinking things would just fix themselves. But now, they were broken. I spent hours scrolling through Instagram, looking at other people's happy faces, reading quotes about love and relationships, and all I could feel was this gnawing emptiness. I wanted to be one of those people who had it all together, who smiled and posted cute pictures of their family, but I couldn't fake it anymore. I couldn't even pretend like everything was fine. Around noon, I tried calling him again. Straight to voicemail. I felt my chest tighten with frustration. I was angry. I was scared. And I didn't know what to do anymore. I had tried everything I could think of to keep things together, but now it felt like he was slipping away, like he was already gone, and I was just holding on to a memory. By evening, I heard from my sister Brielle again. Girl, you've got to do something. You can't just sit there. I've been trying, I said, my voice shaking. But he's not answering. He's not even home. He's just gone. Brielle didn't say anything at first. Then slowly she spoke. Maybe he's done with the way things have been. Maybe he needs space. And if he needs that, see, you've got to let him have it. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to accept that maybe, just maybe, Eric was right. Maybe he had been the one holding us together, and now he was breaking free. I could feel the walls closing in. The silence between us was deafening. He wasn't coming home. He wasn't going to apologize. He wasn't going to change his mind. I had to face it. Maybe this was it. Maybe everything I had tried to fix was already broken beyond repair.